when they picked the tambourine to give away, I did not protest. Hi everybody, welcome back to Project Happy Home. For those of you who are new here, welcome. I'm Tanya, doctor, lawyer, turned homeschool mom of 3 kids ages 9, 6, and 4. If you're interested in videos about secular homeschooling, parenting a child with ADHD, and pursuing a more intentional, essentialist lifestyle, please remember to hit the subscribe button down below. In this video, I'll be participating in the One Box Challenge hosted by Sweet and Simple Home, and I will link her channel down below in the description box. I have done it a couple times in the past so far, and I really enjoy it. One of the things I enjoy about it is that I can show you kind of what kinds of things have been exiting our house and why. It also sort of reinforces my reasons for decluttering, and I just find it to be a really therapeutic process. So I have 3 boxes this time. What we do to sort of automate and streamline our decluttering is to always keep a donation box in the garage. So every single time I see something that we don't need right now, it just goes into the donation box. I don't have to find a box. I don't have to remember, oh, next time we're donating things, I'm gonna grab this. It just immediately goes into the donation bin into the garage. Also, every single Saturday, we do 3 things blessing. So every single member of our household comes up with 3 things that they no longer need, and we dump it into the box. And that just keeps it as a regular household practice that we want to declutter things. When my children get new things, if they purchase a new item for themselves, because I'm not buying anything for them this year, I'm doing a no-buy year. If you're interested in that, go ahead and check out my playlist. So for example, if my children buy anything new, I tend to advise them to get rid of another item so that we continuously keep things moving out of the house. The purpose of our decluttering is not so much to have less things in the typical minimalist ideal of it. It's more to reduce our possessions and our life and our thoughts to what is actually essential and meaningful to our lives and our values. A lot of the things we have can be visually cluttering as well as like emotionally, spiritually cluttering as well. And I just want to encourage my children at a young age to learn that it is people, you know, the ideas and people that we're interested in that have value, and not so much the things they may have given us or the things we purchase for ourselves. So as I said, there are 3 boxes that we managed to fill up this time in the past 4 weeks or so. And one of the things that I pulled out of there are just these Christmas placemats. Now, placemats are one of those things, I like to make them educational if we have them. I have quite a few already. There's no reason to have themed placemats for the holidays. I know that some people really like to make holidays special for their kids and they like all the themed things. And if that's a value for your family, you should totally continue doing that. For our family, it's really not a big value. So I kind of want to do away with it. Another thing that we're getting rid of are these little headphones. They're called cozy phones. I bought them off of Amazon a while ago, and none of my children like them, you guys. They use them, I would say, not even once or twice. So I do not advise that you purchase them. They're designed so that they're cute and they stay on and they don't hurt the kids' ears, especially if your child is too small for regular size kid headphones. But I've found kid headphones that fit even my smallest child, and so we do not need these. They are in perfect working order, so I hope somebody else gets some use out of them. Somebody else's children might like them better than mine. We have a lot of shoes that we're donating, especially cute little boots that no longer fit my daughter. There's also some really good Skechers shoes that my son only wore a couple times and then sort of outgrew, so it's time to get rid of them. This tot clock was actually a really cute clock, but you know, we didn't really use it. We didn't have a good place to plug it in this house. My middle daughter used it in our old house and it worked out well. You know, I do recommend this clock. It was a really cute clock. It changes color for when you want bedtime to be and wake up to be and things like that. It's a little bit complicated. It does a lot more things than I need a tot clock to do. And honestly, we use the Amazon Alexa dots now to wake them up and have routines. So this is sort of an extraneous item that I no longer need. So we're going to donate that. There's a Joanna Lindsay romance novel that I'm donating. I'm one of these people, I really like romance novels, you guys. I'll read highfalutin things too, but I like romance novels. I think they're the most mindless, fun reads. And you can read them in like an hour and a half. So sometimes when I'm really tired and I just don't have it in me to read like, you know, The Literary Society or like Jane Austen or whatever, which I love, honestly, this is the perfect read for me. I know it's really embarrassing to a lot of people to admit that they read romance novels, but you know, they actually provide, I think, something like 70% of all book sales are romance novels. So a whole lot of people are reading them without admitting to it. And I'm happy as a clam to admit to it. I think they're great. Socks. Aren't these cute socks? I no longer really wear them, and they got a little bit loose for me up at the top, so they're still in really good condition. I thought somebody else could use them. This is a lovely handmade bag. This was a harder one for me to let go of. This was given to me by a dear friend in law school when I had my baby shower for my eldest. And I love it. I think it's such a nice gift. It's so thoughtful. It's a little bit of an awkward size, like so many Asian things. It's kind of small, and I don't really have a use for it. You know, like I would keep it if I had a purpose for it, but it's a little bit too small for library books, even for the kids, because if they get a picture book that doesn't fit, it doesn't work. And I don't really have a use for it at all. So I hope this goes on to bless somebody else. And when they find it, they're just overjoyed to find like a high quality, handmade, beautiful silk bag. These little electronic toys I am trying to get rid of as quickly as possible. Whenever the kids decide to declutter one of them, I am super happy. Tambourines. We really enjoyed this. This I think came from a Melissa and Doug music set, but honestly, when they picked the tambourine to give away, I did not protest. Towels that are perfectly useful but are not white. I'm trying to get rid of everything that is not white that is a towel in our house, and it's just a way for me to declutter. We have too many as it is. Sometimes you have to make arbitrary rules for why you're getting rid of things. This conch shell is really very pretty, but it does have a jagged edge here. We've had it for a very long time, and when we had a large homeschool room, it made perfect sense to keep it on the shelf. Right now, in the house we live in, space is really limited, and so we don't have space for things that don't have a purpose. They all know what a conch shell is. They've seen it for a long time. Now somebody else can see it. And especially because it has this jagged edge, I worry sometimes that the kids will hurt themselves on it. Did you hear that? That was a conch shell. A whole bunch of little clothes that my youngest has grown out of. I won't go through and show you every single one of those. Rest assured, we have a bunch. Baby hats. So cute. Baby things are so hard for me to get rid of, but I'm trying to be really, really good and diligent about getting rid of everything except my most favorite items. I would be lying if I told you I was one of those people who only kept one thing per child, but I have one banker's box, and I have allotted one banker's box of baby clothes for me to keep, and I think that's okay because I miss their baby days so much. Aside, you can tell right now I'm in the section of the box from the 3 things giveaway, so yeah, I'm not going to show you every single toy, but rest assured, there's a lot of toys in here. Some books, especially step readers, that I don't think my daughter will be interested in. When my son comes up with them, I'm like, okay, no problem, hooray. A puzzle. These are the kinds of things that you really have to be strict with yourself about. So when my daughter picked this puzzle, I thought, this is a cute puzzle. You still do puzzles, you love puzzles. But if she has decided that she's no longer interested in this puzzle, I should honor her request and let it go and let it bless somebody else. Do you remember how fun it is to like find something at a thrift store that is like a great deal? You're like, I can't believe somebody like, you know, has a perfect set of Risk here at the thrift store for $1. I'm happy that somebody else can find this perfectly good, awesome puzzle with all its pieces, etc. By the way, if you ever do find a puzzle at a thrift store, make sure you count all the pieces. I cannot tell you how many times I've seen puzzles missing like 4 or 5 pieces, and then what's the point? Jewelry, again, this was a gift from my sister-in-law, I believe. I think 2 or 3 years ago for Christmas to my daughter, but she has since outgrown it. So if she has, let it bless somebody else. I am trying really hard not to limit the kids' own choices about what they no longer find necessary to their lives. I used to do that a lot. I used to say, well, you know, but this is so nice and maybe you could find da 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 da. And now I try really hard to restrain myself. Unless it's a book or an educational thing that I know that one of their younger siblings will definitely use, and I mean definitely use, I let them give it away, because honestly, we could buy it again should we need it or should that child want it. And 2, let us make room for them to change as well. You know, let them be allowed to see that something they once loved is not something they love still, and then let it go back into the flow of goods, you know, let it go. I don't want to squelch their inner motivation to declutter, to simplify their lives by saying, no, no, you have to keep that because of X, Y, and Z. I have a huge stack of Dollar Tree workbooks, thrift store workbooks, things I picked up for $1 or less that I thought we might use one day that I don't think we are actually going to use for my youngest. We haven't used them for the older 2 yet, and I think it's time to let them go. Even like this is First Words. She's not at this level yet, but I have better resources than this. and I don't really like giving them busy work, so I don't need this. And coming to that realization, just going through the shelf, taking down everything I don't actually need, that I don't think we're gonna use for my youngest next year, was really liberating. It really was. I realized that I picked up a lot of things before we even started homeschooling, before my daughter was even old enough to like sit up. You know, I was like, oh, this will be good for her when she gets to this age. Honestly, like, that was educational for me because I got exposed to a variety of resources. I learned about a lot of different curricula on the cheap from the thrift store, but I don't think it's worth it to keep things just in case. I have a pretty clear idea of what I'm going to be using for her for next year, and it really doesn't need this type of supplementation, so I'm getting rid of it. These Happy Golden Years, and I think I have a few other Laura Ingalls Wilder books that I'm getting rid of, because last year at the thrift store I found hardback editions of a few of these, and I decided to keep the hardbacks and get rid of the paperbacks. So I bet you anything, if you are a thrifter, you have copies on your shelves. Get rid of the copies. You do not need duplicates just in case. Speaking of finding good things at a thrift store, these are the two very first books from the All About Reading series. And honestly, I didn't like these two very much. I like a lot of the other readers for the later levels of All About Reading, but I did not like these two. I didn't think that the rhymes and things were that great. I don't know. And the poems and stuff seemed a little bit not fun enough to make them entertaining for a child that age. The graphics in this book are much nicer, but still, this is a nice thing for somebody else to find at a thrift store. So whenever I can give away things that are nice, I feel really good about it. I feel like, you know, people will get something out of it. So like this handwriting practice book and this math book, etc. So I'm not going to show you every single book in this box, but there are quite a few of them. Costumes are another thing that my kids are often selecting to give away. I'm super happy about it. Honestly, part of me is like, won't your sisters want to be Green Lantern? And then I'm like, well, they already have like 20 costumes of their own. So if they want to be Green Lantern, we can find it again at a thrift store then. Things like fairy wings take up a lot of room. If they want to get rid of them, I am super happy to let them do it. A curling iron. I don't actually use a curling iron ever, mostly because I'm really, really bad at it. I have a something whose name I can't remember. I think it's called a wave styler, and you push a button, you like clamp your hair in it and it pushes a button and it spins on its own. That thing has changed my life. I should definitely do a video on that because I could never figure out a curling iron. I couldn't, you guys. I like burned my neck once, and like a serious burn, because I just can't figure out how to coordinate my hand to do this. So I decided it's somebody else's to have. So that's good. Seasonal books that aren't that great, I'm getting rid of, honestly. I have like a bin of Christmas books that I only bring out at Christmas, and I have some Halloween books that I only bring out at Halloween, but there's only a couple that they really love, so I'm getting rid of the rest, and that honestly makes room for better ones. So if I see new ones that are better and that amuse them more, that makes room for things that are better and the best. Instead of just keeping things that are good enough, you know, I'm making room. So it's been an education for me, myself and I, to get rid of books that are just good, that are just okay, that you would rate, you know, a 3 or below. What else is in here? I'm not gonna go through everything else in this box, you guys, mostly because it's mostly toys that my kids have come up with, but things like this are difficult to get rid of. This is a Curious George lunchbox tin, which you think objectively is super cute and super nice, and a container that I could store things in, but my child has decided to get rid of it, and I should honor that request, and somebody else can find it. So again, some of this decluttering isn't that easy to do. It isn't that easy to tell yourself, especially if it's things that are aesthetically pleasing to you or like bring up feelings of nostalgia. But the more you can tell yourself, you know, I'm making room for what actually matters in my life right now. Not for what mattered 3 years ago, not for what might matter 3 years from now, but what matters and what is used right now. I think you'll have a lot more success in your decluttering. Things like that Curious George box though, or like the baby clothes, are reasons why I don't use Marie Kondo's spark joy rule, because honestly, a lot of these things in these boxes spark joy for me. And I also think that if I tried to keep everything that sparked joy, I am a little bit sentimental about things, especially my children's things that they loved or that they looked super cute in or whatever. And I would have a hard time getting rid of stuff. I'm not so sentimental about my own things, but about theirs I really am. So Involving them in the process of decluttering with our 3 things blessing every weekend has been really a good training ground for me to teach me to let go of that stuff. If it's not that important to them, obviously it's honestly just not that important. And it shouldn't be that important to me, because it's more like about an idea I have of childhood or an idea I have about them than the actual truth. I can take a picture of them standing there with it, and then I'll have that forever, you know, in my phone on the iCloud. So yeah, that was our 1 box challenge, which turned into a 3 box challenge. And I also got rid of all our kid puzzles. You guys, I forgot to show you, but I'll pop in a picture. And so that's a huge amount of square footage in our house. I try to point out to my husband, by the way, as we fill these boxes, do you see the square footage of things that we're getting out of our house? Because I like to tease him about the fact that he doesn't like things, and also just show him how good we're doing. If you guys are decluttering, I'd love to hear about your progress down below, what kinds of things you've been getting rid of, how you streamline that process in your own house to just make it a regular part of your routine. And as always, you guys, I value your time. Thank you so much for spending some of it with me, and I wish you the very best day.